All right, so welcome from my side. My name is Samuel. I'm one of the co-founders of Scandit, and I will be talking to you a little bit about how you can take advantage of mobile barcode scanning technology in your applications, what kind of wonderful use cases you'll be able to support doing so. Okay, so just to kind of give you a sense for what's expecting you here, so quickly give you an introduction of what that actually is, mobile barcode scanning for mobile devices, and how that is different to what you may have heard before. Then I want to sort of just highlight a couple of challenges that will hopefully give you a sense for the complexity behind something that seems as simple as that. I'll give you some hints on how this is actually done, and then I'd like to kind of guide you through a couple of use cases and usage scenarios to really show the breadth and depth of application areas. And time permitting, I'd like to also show you kind of how simple it is to include our own barcode scanning module for Titanium into a simple application. All right, so with this, let's have a quick look here at kind of barcode scanning, how it used to be and how it can be today. Right, so in the past, barcode scanning was equivalent to using mobile dedicated devices that you have to carry in addition to everything else that you carry, clunky devices, relatively expensive, and of course, because of these things, you wouldn't hand them out to everybody, right? So only people who are kind of heavy-duty scanners would carry such a device. Now, with the advent of smartphones and the possibility of leveraging the built-in camera of a smartphone and software on top of that, you can turn essentially every smartphone into a barcode scanner and put them into everybody's pockets. So whereas in the past you could only support these heavy-duty scanners, suddenly you can even support what we call occasional scanners. So there is a much wider array of use cases that you can address, and that comes with a couple of advantages, such as cheaper devices, obviously, easier deployment, over-the-air kind of updates and replacement, and of course, employees, for example, that previously had to carry such a mobile scanner now have a smartphone in their pocket and that just happens to be able to scan as well. All right, so let's have a look at some of the challenges. So if you look at this image here, so assume that's kind of the image that you get from a kind of nice little latest and greatest smartphone and the perfect barcode. Now the problem is these kind of things, they don't really occur too often in the real world, but what you typically get is this. And this can be because the smartphone that produces this image, or the video feed that produces this image, comes from a camera that has no autofocus or that has no macro mode. It can also be because there is motion blur or because the autofocus just hasn't yet focused. So that's a very typical kind of challenge that you deal with from a just image processing kind of standpoint. Now, let's have a look at some of the other challenges here. So for example, here, you see there is an autofocus, but unfortunately autofocus happens to focus on the wrong object in the image because the barcode is very thin. And this, a similar situation here where you see some motion blur occurring. That's the other aspect I just alluded to before. So you may have the latest iPhone 5 with a terrific autofocus, but the autofocus is so great it actually allows you to focus on like relatively large distances, has a very high dynamic range. And of course, most people take photos with the autofocus and don't focus on objects very close. So what happens is the autofocus first has to activate, and then it has to sort of focus on the object, and you lose like 1.3 seconds easily just by waiting for the autofocus to kick in. And then, of course, while in that traditional barcode scanning world, you had one kind of set of hardware and full control over that hardware, and you only, essentially, you optimize the hardware and you only needed relatively trivial software on top of that. With mobile phone-based barcode scanning, the situation is just the opposite. you have an incredible wealth of smartphones and new operating system versions and new modules, hardware modules as part of the smartphones come to the market every month. And your software has to be able to deal with that. So that's another challenge. And that includes, of course, really low resolution videos or compression artifacts, as you see here, from the image sensors. And then, of course, there is a really wide variety of barcode types as well. And they come on different surfaces. So you have glossy surfaces, you have rounded surfaces, you have glass, you have glare and shadows. All these things make it, of course, much more difficult to recognize those codes as they occur when you, for example, walk through a retail store and try to pick up those codes. All right. So now let me talk to you a bit about kind of what we're doing and how we are trying to tackle this challenge. So our vision is, and has always been for the past 8 years that we've been working on this problem, and the past 3.5 years that we've been working on this problem kind of as a corporation, to build a mobile barcode scanning technology that is as effective, as fast, and as reliable as a laser-based scanner. Now, we're not quite there yet, but we're really close. And this video here shows you just a little bit of where we stand. The video is actually already over a year old, so the latest version of our technology is even better than what you're seeing here. But you see, we can pick up the codes like upside down and sideways. We can deal with them on rounded surfaces. There is shadow, scratches, glare. And yet the technology manages to pick it up reliably. And if you think about that, if you watch that, and if you think about all these barcode scanning applications that you may have heard of, and if you think maybe not of yourself, and I trust you're all skilled mobile phone users, but maybe your mothers, or maybe less kind of technology savvy people, then you realize that it's really important to sort of like bring the ease of use that you're seeing here to the market, to make people use that, specifically for consumer-focused applications, like price comparison, for example. Okay, so kind of that just sums up what we're providing today as a company. So our scanning platform offers our barcode scanning SDKs, which at this point are the fastest and most reliable such technologies on the market. We scan from any angle on phones without autofocus, etc. And we support a range of different mobile phone platforms. What we also have, and what's also different to some of the other competing technologies out there, we combine that technology piece and the technology expertise with a set of associated services, such as our product API that gives developers access to, at least to our knowledge, the largest UPC-based products database that's available on the internet today, that allows you to access over 27 million UPC-based product data records. And we also offer something that we call Scanalytics that provides you as a developer real-time insights into what people are scanning, what products are most popular with your users, what product categories they look up most, where scans happen, if that's in a retail store or in a particular residential area, etc. And on top of that, we kind of pride ourselves with providing really good support to our developers. And we found, specifically on a mobile platform, we found this is really important because people struggle with all these different versions, with all the different devices. And of course, you don't want to be left alone if you have a mission-critical application. Okay, just a couple of remarks on kind of how this actually works. And so this is really just, again, getting back to this idealized world, the ideal image. And as I said initially, scanning a barcode in such an image is really trivial. It's a simple thing. Everybody can do it in here, I'm sure. The problem is dealing with all these artifacts and all these situations. And essentially what we're doing is we've spent a long time basically taking existing knowledge from image recognition, deblurring algorithm, etc., that take 30 seconds up to 5 minutes in Photoshop to work and bring them onto a mobile device and make them run in 20 to 50 milliseconds. Highly optimized kind of software. And that's kind of the magic sauce that we're applying here. Okay, I already alluded a bit to the mobile device support, but I want to highlight a couple of things here. So, of course, we're supporting iOS and Android, among others, but one important thing is support for low-end Android phones. And specifically, if you're looking to provide large amounts of barcode scanning capability to, for example, employees, then you want to be able to have support for all these phones. Because either you want to support the phones of your employees as they have them, if they own them already, or you might want to buy a bulk of such phones and hand them out. And interestingly enough, even phones such as the iPad 2, the iPad Touch, or effectively all the camera modules that are built into the front-facing cameras of iOS devices don't have autofocus cameras either. So independent of the fact that you can also scan faster with an autofocus camera, you cannot support these devices. So for example, you cannot build a cool mobile point-of-sale app that uses the front-facing camera if you cannot scan those codes reliably. And we also try to come up with some simple quantification for the amount of devices that is actually affected. And we found that there is at least 140 million devices out there in the market that have been brought to the market over the past 18 months that do not have autofocus capabilities at all. Okay, so that's just for completeness reasons. So of course, we're providing support for all these different code types. But now let's have a quick look at some of the use cases that we're seeing with our customers and that we are providing support for today already. So you're seeing, of course, there is a lot of mobile shopping apps out there, retailers that build apps that want to engage consumers in the store. We have price comparison, a very popular kind of vertical, shopping lists, self-checkout, coupon applications, product information, nutritional information, market research, etc. And so these are kind of examples of such applications that use our scanning technology today. And you may have heard, for example, of Shopkick, an app based out of Palo Alto that is very popular in the US and helps retailers drive foot traffic to stores and incentivizes people to engage with products in stores more often and results in higher volumes of transactions and transaction frequencies. So let's have a quick look at self-checkout. Looking at the example of Q-Through, an innovative Seattle-based startup that provides self-checkout, an entire self-checkout, self-scanning system to retailers. So Q-Through leverages our scanning technology to offer a comprehensive self-checkout solution to retailers. They include the scanning technology to allow, on the one hand, the consumer to walk through the store, scan all the items, bag the items, and then before they walk out, there is a self-checkout kiosk where the user has to scan a final code at the checkout kiosk to complete the transaction. And of course, on the benefit side, so here you not only want to be able to support all the mobile phones of all your consumers or customers that come into your retail store, but you also want to make it that simple for everybody to use that solution. Because here the benchmark really is a mobile scanning device. As you may have seen, if you go to, in the Boston area, for example, if you go to a Stop and Shop, you'll see, you walk into a retail store and there is a shelf of these devices, you can take one and scan. And now we're seeing more and more of these devices being replaced entirely by smartphone-based solutions. Now let's have a quick look at enterprise use cases. So we have mobile point-of-sale systems, so tablet-based systems that slowly turn into or evolve into full-blown point-of-sale systems. We have procurement-type use cases where people reorder stuff for corporations on the go and decentralized nowadays. We have asset management, inventory management. We have logistics applications where people use smartphone-based scanning for track and trace scenarios. We have quality assurance and, of course, also ticketing. Here another case study that I brought for you that we did with a leading hardware manufacturer. Here the situation was the company wanted to essentially improve their quality assurance processes. They have a lot of hardware parts that circulate through the company. And previously, they had a web-based system where people had to go and basically register every device before they sort of hand it on to some other department. And they realized that doesn't really work. Compliance is low, and it's costly, it's slow. So what they did, they built an app that allows essentially 10,000 of people to participate in a global QA process. And so everybody now carries a scanner in their pocket, and once a hardware part has to sort of move to a different person, move to a different department, the device is scanned and registered with the new person. And if you think about it, something like that wasn't possible at all before, because the cost of providing a scanning device, a dedicated scanning device, to every employee is just prohibitive. But now, with a smartphone-based solution, you can have thousands of people, thousands of such occasional scanners participate in a global process and really democratize a business process. Okay, so I'll skip the actual video. Everybody who wants to know can find me afterwards, and I'm happy to walk them through. But essentially, integrating our scanning module, barcode scanning module, with a titanium application is really, really simple. So what you do is you go to the and actually our module has been a featured application for the past few months and has been very popular. So you'll find it right there. You download the module and then you copy it to your local titanium folder. So you take the iOS module, you take the Android module, you copy it over to your modules folders for iOS and Android. You then add the two references to these modules for iOS and Android to your titanium application XML file. Very simple. And you'll have to sign up on Scandit.com for an application key. We have different plans. We have a free community edition that is a no strings attached version. You can get infinite device support, etc., for just UPC, EN, and QR codes. And you can get started. If you have more elaborate requirements, there is also paid plans, and I'll offer you a little coupon code for that as well. And then the only thing you have to do is you copy over the app key into your sample application, and you build it and run it, and you're done. And it's so simple that this is the type of tweets we're seeing often. So we have people who say, barcode module from Scandit is awesome. 5 minutes after download, the module is running inside my app. So that's kind of course, making us happy and removing our support pains a little bit. Okay, so to wrap it up, so our platform provides not only the leading barcode scanner technology in performance-wise at this point, but it also bundles it with product data and analytics services along with great support. And together that enables really a really wide range of use cases and usage scenarios, ranging from kind of consumer-facing applications that enable completely new business models, such as price comparison or the Shopkick kind of loyalty example, over to really traditional enterprise application where people can save tons of money by deploying a smartphone-based solution, or on the other hand, really democratize and decentralize processes by making scanning as a capability available to everybody. All right, so with this, I just wanted to kind of bring your attention to that. So if you take down here this coupon code and experience any kind of barcode scanning need over the past couple of months, till end of May, this code is valid and will take 25% off any price plan that we have for the first payment. So we have some recurring payments as well. So if you go in for that, then you can just chop off 20%, 25% of the first year, for example. Okay, thanks so much. And if you have questions.